Well, I just read some really good news earlier, and it was actually on Instagram, and it was from a doctor that she had said, she's in the UK, and she had said she was reading the JAMA Dermatology. It was published, that was put out by JAMA Dermatology. And what she said, her name is, by the way, Dr. Anjali, Anjali, last name Mahto, Mahto. And what she said, or what the paper said, was that it was a paper written about diet and how it affects acne. And what the paper had said was that it affects acne. Yay! I was so excited, you have no idea, because for so long, you know, people have been saying that the diet doesn't affect the skin, and to have this come out in a paper, a dermatology paper, I was thrilled to pieces that it actually is saying that yes, it does affect the skin, and it definitely affects acne. And it was saying fatty foods as well as sugar, and they did over 20,000 had over 20,000 cases of mostly, I think, 70% women, it said. And so I was just really excited to have that written, you know, that yes, you know, food affects acne, and it definitely affects the skin as a whole anyway. So I was just really excited to see that, and I'm so grateful to these UK dermatologists over there. You Brits are really quite genius. I think that I remember years back reading another paper where they had said it was the athletes in the UK. They had done a lot of research on why athletes were drinking tons of fluid and still being really dehydrated, and so they did this whole study on it to find that, you know, again, you know, what we say is that, you know, sometimes someone can drink a lot of a fluid and they just pee it out. It doesn't stick and it doesn't hydrate the organs. And so what's really important is that you drink fluids that are going to stick. And sometimes that means it could be something with electrolytes in it, something it means it could be, you know, adding to your water. So I was just really, really happy to have read that way back in the day to confirm that, you know, people, because some people come in to see me. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but some people come in and they say, you know, I drink so much water, how could I possibly be dehydrated? And but sometimes it just doesn't work like that. You know, you've got to add to your water, and you know, and it's got to taste good on your palate. So, you know, a Fiji water, which I love, may not be great for everybody. And that's the thing, is you want to make sure that, you know, water tastes good on your palate, and in some cases that you are adding to your water, and that could be a little bit of cranberry juice, it could be a little bit of another juice. I know I've told this story before, but I will share it with you again, is that one of my clients some years back, she was trying to have a baby, and she had tried for 7 years, and she had done in vitro a few times, and she'd gone to all kinds of doctors to try and get pregnant. And she ended up going to a doctor here in Santa Monica who was, you know, he worked with blood types, and what he did was, you know, he had different tools that he worked with, but what he did is that he said to her that your uterus was really dehydrated. And so he had her add orange juice to her water because different juices hydrate different organs, right? So he had her add orange juice to her water, and she now has 3 kids, you know. So there's a lot to that, and I can't tell you how delighted I am to hear that, and I'm going to put it in the tag down the bottom of this video when I put it back up on my IGTV, is that the JAMA Dermatology recently published an article saying that food definitely affects acne, and they did studies of over 27,000, I think, or over 20,000 anyway, mostly female, and it did affect acne, and it was of older as well as younger groupings. So I'm just so delighted to have had that in writing. I mean, I just can't even tell you. It's been such a struggle with certain scientists and all these people out there. There's a lot of them that just don't believe that food affects the skin. And I've written, time and time again, just tons of evidence to say that this is how I change people's skin. It's like if you see my pictures of people with acne, I've only done them 3 or maybe 4 times in a facial, given them some home care, which of course we know is important too. But ultimately, it's you've got to start from the gut. You have to start there. And sometimes, it can be the omegas, which some would say, but they're so good for you. Well, they are good for some people, but they're not good for everybody. So I'm just really delighted to hear that someone has published something, and thank God you Brits out there, and thank you, Dr. Anjali Mahto, which, I'm gonna publish this, put it in my little thing down the bottom, so you can all go on and read it, and that's it. So hello all. Thank you. I just wanted to tell you my fabulous news this morning, what I read. Okay, so let's go with some questions. My light just fell over here, so I'm going to grab it while... Okay, for the exfoliating mask, do you recommend more than 2 or 3 times a week on oily acnetic skins? Hold on. Sorry. I just want to get this light up here a little bit. Okay, oily acnetic skins, you can exfoliate. Normally 2 or 3 times is enough. You don't want to over-exfoliate. You don't want to create a problem, and over-exfoliation can make the outer layer really sensitive, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to create a sensitive, irritated surface, because you want to keep your strong actives for your other products that you're doing. Okay, what do you think about the bio-peel? I don't know what the bio-peel is. I'm sorry, I don't know what that one is. Aren't polysaturated fats like omegas aging because they oxidize in the body? Aging? I think it depends on what type of omegas that you're using, because like anything, you can buy a vitamin that is that's really great, and that you actually utilize a lot of it, like what's that one that seed, I think it's SEED seed, where they're doing they've just developed this incredible probiotic type thing that is really unique and amazing. I think it depends on the product. I think it depends very much on what what the brands and all of these things, like skincare, right? I mean, some skincare products are great, and the actives in a skincare get to where they need to go in the product, and others just don't. So it depends on the formulas. That's the truth. I'm getting red bumps on my face. Hold on, let me see what that one was. Red bumps on wearing a mask. Try wearing a cotton mask. I just did a little blurb for New Beauty magazine talking about masks, because cotton masks are really great. And sometimes I just use 100% cotton. I don't sweat with it. I can wear it all day when I'm working, and it doesn't irritate the skin. And then you can also get the, I buy these tissues. They're a bamboo tissue. And what the bamboo tissue does is it acts as it's even more sort of antibacterial, but it acts as a little bit of a filter if you feel you want something more than that. So I would say just change the type of mask that you're using, because cotton is amazing, the cotton masks. I think they're really fantastic. Can people with dark skin get chemical peels? I have dry skin and severe hyperpigmentation. I think it's tricky. There's the peel out there that they're doing now with a laser, which is called the Pico peel. And apparently that works better for darker skin tones. but I don't like peeling dark skin tones. I mean, it depends where you are on the Fitzpatrick scale, because I have peeled lighter, skin tones that, but depending on how dark the tone is, I would be very careful. That I can tell you. It's just not worth it with hyperpigmentation. It is so, once you've damaged those melanocytes, that cycle, the tyrosinase cycle within a melanocyte, it is so hard to correct that. I'm sitting here holding a light, because it fell over. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put a book behind it and hold it up. I'm sorry. Okay, guys, I am still here, just adjusting my light. Sorry about that. Okay. It's because I was rushing, sorry, to get here and do this live, and I didn't put my stand up. Okay, here we go. Next one. What was this one here? What do you think about, okay, no, we said that already. Omegas, right. Can people, yep, done that. What foods are good for acne skin? Well, it's better if I just tell you what foods are not good for acne skin, okay? So foods that are not good for acne are your dairy usually. And it depends, it depends on the kind of acne that you're talking about, because there's acne and there's acne. There's so many different kinds, right? So if you have a tiny little bumps under the skin and they're not pimples, they're not nodules or pustules or papules, then go off. If you just have bumps, tons of bumps, what we call congestion, then go off your dairy, your egg yolks, your peanut butter, and your omegas. I usually say just don't have a bunch of omegas. If you have pustules and papules and it starts to, and there's ruddiness with it, if you have like a lot of redness, internal redness or heat, then go off your inflammation foods, and that's going to be your wine, your tomatoes, your bell peppers, your nightshade foods, spicy, they're not great. If you have more the painful nodules, the really painful ones that when you touch them they hurt, then it's hormonal. So usually you're closer to the end in the range of when you go to see an endocrinologist, the hormone range, you're closer to you have more male hormones, right? That's what creates more sebaceous activity, more movement with the oil. So, what it is you're best to not eat so much meat, red meat, and just kind of, eat more vegetables and things. So it's better to, anyway, that's what you have to do for acne. And by the way, I will just say, if you start to get a lot of congestion down here, which is in face mapping, is the large intestine, then that usually means when there's a lot of congestion, and not necessarily painful congestion, but just congestion underneath, when it starts to spread down, it starts to affect how you go to the bathroom, which means that you may not be going to the bathroom, every day, which you should be, right? So, you need movement, you need to, it's usually there's stress related to that, which is when you're holding on to, shit, and you're not wanting to let go, and you're holding on to stuff. So it's really important to get movement, to walk, to swing your arms, and just keep, things moving. Massage your stomach area. If you do have body massages, ask them if they would do your abdomen, massage that area. It's really important. And there's that exercise that I talk about, which you can do in the shower with your stimulating the meridian to your fascia lata, which is your large intestine meridian. You put your leg out to the side like this. You turn, or on a 45-degree angle, turn your foot in, bring it back in, and then you massage from your knee to your hip. And you just do it for like 30 seconds in the shower, up and down with your sponge, your loofah. So out on a 45, turn your foot in, bring it in. You've got to do that first, because it ignites the meridian so that you can work it, and that will get movement in your large intestine. What Rejuvi product can eliminate pitted skin for acne scars? It's a combination of things. When you've got pitted skin, you've affected many levels within the skin. So, you need to exfoliate. You need to use AHAs, which, your multiple array of AHAs if you can. Of course, your BHAs obviously for oil, help oil, but if you've got pitted skin that's older, you're going to go to your lactic, your glycolic, I mean, I like all of them, you know, your AHAs, which is your glycolic, lactic, malic, tartaric, and citrus. You know, there are your retinols. I mean, your retinols are amazing. And when you've got pitted skin, you have to work with all the molecules. You can't just work with retinol. You can't just work with AHAs. You have to work with both. And in that case, you would be using your AHAs in the morning and you'd use your retinols at night. But it's really important to you've got to do that, and you've got to exfoliate, and you've got to get movement, you've got to massage it, and you've got to feed the skin. So I'm going to tell you to go, you know, use your bioflavonoids, your, you know, in Rejuvi's case, it's the Q Flavonoid, which has your arnica, your vitamin P, your K, you know, anything that's going to help just give the skin some nutrients, because pitted skins are usually, they've either, you know, they've had acne, they've maybe taken Accutane, the skin was not healthy when it was healing, and when they had the acne, and so if you're not working with feeding the skin while you're healing the skin, you are going to get pits. And don't go out and get a cortisone shot in a pimple, okay? You know, a lot of, and over the years, my actress clients, that they'll get a pimple and they'll be doing a movie or a show, and what they'll do is that, you know, they get this huge nodule, and they, you know, they've often gotten a cortisone shot to get rid of it quickly, but then it leaves a pit. And if it doesn't leave it at that moment, it will leave it later in life, because what cortisone does is it damages your lower layers for your future. Like UVA in the sun, you don't see it always in the beginning. So it's really important not to get those injections in the skin, especially if your skin's not healthy. And the older we get, the harder it is. So the older you get, you should be doing less of the, you know, the injections, even worse to do that for the cortisone shots for pimples I'm talking about, okay, guys? Do you recommend clients getting allergy tests? You know, I've had allergy tests in my life, and, you know, I've had the blood as well as I've had the ouch test, or whatever, you know, where they pinprick your back for every grass and pollen and everything out there. You know, it's good to know. It's great information to have. So certainly a good thing to do. Can you use niacinamides and retinol daily? You know, I know that everybody loves niacinamides, and niacinamides is such a huge topic right now. And I've got to say, I like them too, but they are not for everybody. And if you have heat in your body and you're sensitive, niacinamides may not work for you. So retinol depends on what the strength is. You know, most people can't use retinol every day. Although, guys, I've been working on my own line, which I've been working on for over a year, but you will see that next year very much around. And I do have something that I am working on. It is a retinol that you can use every single night, and it is not going to give you redness, dryness, or damage your blood vessels. But for now, I don't have it. So let's talk about, it depends on, as I said, the retinol. And I myself can never use a retinol every single night because it's just too much on my skin. But niacinamides, they're great, but they're not for everybody. That's the thing. So it depends on your formulas. It depends on your skin, your own personal concerns that you have. What type of acne can omegas cause? Hormonal or simply just dairy? You know, omegas go in the fatty area, okay? So this article that I was telling you, I'm going to put a little blurb down the bottom later, that came from this dermatologist in the UK from the JAMA Dermatology, is after many months of tests, they say that fats causes acne, okay? Yay, hallelujah. Oh gosh, I'm so excited about this. And boy, am I going to rub it in. I just can't help it, but I'm really going to rub this in. I've had so many people come after me about this. And, you know, so omegas are a type of fat, okay? They are not a bad fat, but if, you know, nor is dairy for a lot of people, and egg yolks. But if you have that body type where you cannot digest fat, you cannot have these things. So it's got nothing to do with hormonal or what type of acne necessarily, other than usually you will see bumps, these white bumps under the skin. It starts in the small intestine, which is this area here, and it will start to spread down. And people that get a lot of milias, you know, on the face, a lot of those little fatty balls, white balls, they're milias. They are a fat, and most of the time they also have to go off those types of foods. You know, the egg yolks, the cheese, omegas are not necessarily great for them. So it's really important that you understand that, you know, it's just everybody's different, all right? And often, you know, hormonal acne, with any acne, it's not just one acne. There's often hormonal and congestion. But I'm telling you, you clean up the diet and you do what my clients say, they can't believe how quickly their skin changes. Even after one treatment, they come back, and I've done 2 hours of extraction on their skin. It's when you take people off certain foods, it is a major change in the skin. And for you esties out there, if you want to get fast results, you take your clients off this, you're doing work on them in your treatment room, you give them good home care to support the healing and everything that's going on with their skin, and you are going to see such quick results in just a healthy, beautiful skin. And it's so important. So there you go. You look so beautiful, your skin is all glowy. Oh, yeah, thank you, Mademoiselle, thank you. Do you really think the Rejuve Lightening products will help with my melasma? You know, melasma is tricky, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter about, you can have the most fabulous product and have melasma, but if you are not wearing a physical sunscreen every single day, morning and night, winter, summer, you know, every single season, every single hour, if you're not wearing sunscreen, it's not going to help you. So, you know, if you are prepared to wear a great physical sunblock, and that has to be, you know, at least a 40, and your physical being titanium, zinc, your iron oxides, you can't just put one layer on. You got to put one layer all over the face. Then you've got to go back and put more layers on where you have your melasma. And if you're doing all of that, then yes, absolutely. The Rejuve has a great line for lightening. I mean, there are not, you know, Rejuve's got a great line for acne, which is why I use it, because a lot of my clients are acnetic clients. They have a great, you know, line for lightening. They don't have a lot of fabulous creams for dry aging skin, but they have some that work. They're just not, they don't just look good, and they don't really smell great either, but, you know, they work. And that's what we want, is we want things to work. What do you recommend for hormonal acne in the treatment room? You know, I mean, if you're best to watch my videos, Lavish Skin Body Studio on YouTube, or, you know, if you're a member of my 5-star, then you get to talk to me regularly. We're doing a lot more of that now, my community. And so you've got to, you know, I work with AHAs, I work with the Q Flavonoid, depends on the type of skin. You know, often you've got to nurture, you've got to feed the skin before you even do extractions, because sometimes people, you know, their skin is so dehydrated, even though they've got oily and congestion underneath, that you can't even get anything out. And if you do get a blackhead out when you squeeze, it's so dry, because, you know, most people have been so abusive in drying up, trying to dry up oil, that the skin is already sort of toughened, and the acne is hard, you know, it's hard to get out. So you're best to watch my videos, you know, become a member of my 5-star. You'll get to see a lot more of me in person and get to learn more if you want to do that. And that's my 5-star method program that is going onto a whole new platform. So super exciting. You typically suggest AHAs or retinol instead of BHAs for acne. Why? Well, BHA, salicylic, is in all the acnetic products. You know, and I know I don't talk a lot about salicylic, and really that is your BHA, but it is in all the acnetic products as well as the AHAs. So so that's why, but it's in everything. Salicylic's really important if you are an oily acnetic skin. It helps control the oil for sure. So yes, so it's there too. What is the best to use after extractions? I always do an AHA after extractions. I'm going to do, you know, again, most acnetic skins, when they come in to see me, they're surface dry. You know, they've got scarring. They've done a lot of different things, and you know what's so upsetting for for people that have acne is that a lot of people look at it was interesting, and I'm just going to say, I was speaking to a lady in the UK, an esthetician, and she is absolutely wonderful. And if there's anybody out there in London, East London, that has a room for her to rent, this woman is amazing. And so please let me know if there's anybody out there has a room to rent. In it, you know, she's just great. And so I want to tell you now, she was someone who I was speaking to. She's one of my 5-star members. She had acne as a child and a teen and into her late teens and early 20s. And the thing that happens when you have acne is a lot of people think that you're not a hygienic person. And I want you guys to know that this is not right. You know, this is wrong. You know, having acne does not mean you do not shower, and you know, people that have acne, they've done everything. They are usually more diligent than people that don't. So, but the idea that, you know, people look at them and think, oh, they're dirty, they don't wash their face, they don't shower, that is so wrong. And when I was talking to her, I just couldn't believe the things that, you know, people have experienced. It's great to you know, it's great to have an Esty that's experienced things, right? You know, life, and they really feel, they understand, they've worked on everything to try and find what's going to work. So do know that about people that have acne. They are definitely, it's not, they don't have acne because they were not hygienic. That is wrong. And thank you to that beautiful lady over there. So, okay, do you peel melasma? You know, depends on the skin. I do not peel melasma on a dry, thin skin, like my skin, okay? I have freckles, a lot of freckles. I will peel freckles. It's great for freckles. It is not great for melasma. But if you are an acnetic skin that has pigment issues, then I may do a peel, and usually it's great. I mean, but peels are tricky. You know, do your AHAs, nurture the skin, feed it, give it, you know, your things for melasma, your licorice extract, your kojic acid, your arbutin, your alpha-arbutins. You know, these are great products to use on people that have melasma. Azelaic acid, you know, there's some lactic acid. These are the better ones for melasma, but you've got to be tricky. And peeling, it all depends on the case. Of when I look at that client, if their skin is, just depends. If their skin is thin like mine, it's kind of risky. You've got to be careful. I'm not one for peeling mature skin for wrinkles. I'm going to give them AHAs, I'm going to give them retinols, and I'm going to give them peptides. I'm going to give them other things to use at home. That's what I'm going to do. What products from Rejuvi are good for pregnancy again? I mean, everything's good for pregnancy. Just don't do a peel, don't use resorcinol, and do not use retinols. Stay away from retinols, you guys, when with pregnancy. You know, vitamin A is absorbed into the bloodstream, and it's not good to use, obviously, when you're pregnant. You're funny, thank you. I'm so cute. You know what's really funny, guys? I'll tell you this. When you're a foreigner, okay, and I'm Australian, when you come to another country, America in my case, you're short in size. I'm only not even quite 5'3", and you have an accent, then people think you're really cute, but they also think you're a little bit kind of, she's a pushover a little bit. So thank you. It's funny, but it makes me laugh because things that I've been told, you know, things that have happened since I've been in this country. Okay. Do you use high frequency post extractions? No. I like high frequency and I have the machine. The thing is that I use AHAs, and I'm very aggressive with my AHAs. And Rejuvi happens to have a phenomenal AHA for acne, and that's called the normalizing formula. Now, if I did high frequency and then the normalizing, I could burn the skin. If you're going to use high frequency, that's great, but to do a strong AHA after extractions, you're risking burning the skin, and then you can have pigment issues. If I'm going to use anything that's antibacterial or germicidal, I'm going to use my ozone in my steamer for a little bit while I'm preparing something. But I do love high frequency, but but I love even more using my alpha hydroxy acids. I need that. I need that to clear what I've done when I've done major extractions on people, and my people look pretty horrific after extractions, because you have to be really thorough, and I do my damnedest to get everything out of the skin, because I want their skin to heal quickly. And every one of my clients will tell you they cannot believe after they've had it done just how much better their skin is when they come. It's amazing. So be really thorough, you guys, with your extractions. So important. Crow's feet. If we shouldn't use retinol around the eye because, okay, how can I prevent? You know what? I have, I don't know when it's coming out, a video. I just did a video and I talk about this, but you can use retinols only as a boost. I use it maybe a couple of times a month around my eyes. The crow's feet is a wrinkle, right? There are 3 different kinds of wrinkles. There's the wrinkles that come from premature aging, which is when your eye area is dry. So that means, number 1, you need to be using an eye cream or an eye gel, a hydrating eye gel around your eye area, morning and night. And I love the Rejuvi eye gel. I also love Jordan Samuel has a really great eye gel too. He just came out with, it's hydrating. So the Rejuvi eye gel, Rejuvi also has an eye cream. It's nice. Do I love it? No, not really. But another product I'll have next year, guys, is a really good eye cream. But the thing about it is that, so that's your premature lines, okay? That's what we can deal with. Then you've got your little expression lines, which the only thing, honestly, you can do is get a little Botox. Nothing else to say. The other type of wrinkle is when your collagen elastin starts to break down, and that happens as we age. So, what can you do about that? Just constantly, use things that stimulate your fibroblast cells. You've got to use, things that have a little bit of AHA in it, maybe a little, give your eye area a boost with retinols, twice a month, and that's it. You don't have to use strong anything. I'm talking mild, and, just very occasionally it'll be a very mild buffered retinoid, around that area, and that's what gives it a boost. So that's that. Okay. Would you use a Q Flavonoid all around the eyes? Yes, I love the Q Flavonoid. It just stains the skin yellow, but I love the Q Flavonoid. It feeds it. It's a lot of the time when you stretch the skin around the eye area, there's the blue veins, right? So as we get older, our skin gets thinner. And so it's important to use something like the Q Flavonoid, because it's got your vitamin P, your vitamin K, which helps support your capillary walls. So, and I'm sure there are other flavonoids out there, but it's also got arnica, and arnica is really great. It's great in supporting blood vessels. So you put that on first, your Q Flavonoid at night, and then you would put your eye gel or your eye cream over top of it. And yes, you can totally take it down onto the neck. It is a phenomenal product. Hi, I'm sensitive to certain essential oils. Can I ask you, is essential oils listed and the last ingredient, the Q Flavonoid? I can't, you guys with essential oils, it's like there's hardly anything in there. It's interesting to me. If you are sensitive, you will know you're sensitive because you have little red bumps. Like a lot of people are sensitive to vitamin C. The same thing will happen, tiny little red bumps. But the essential oil that's used unless you're using an essential oil, an actual essential oil, there's so little. It's often less than 1%. So, if you're sensitive, you've just got to try it. But, then, it's all about formulas. You can't sort of judge. When you see as an essential oil down the bottom of an ingredient, and it's one of the last ingredients, it could be less than 1% in there. So it usually is. So you've just got to try it. If you're sensitive to it, then you're sensitive to. Oh, Caroline, hello, my beautiful friend from New Beauty magazine. Oh my gosh, which of course it's. Hello, Caroline. Hello, darling. I love that magazine, guys. You guys, it's a great reading, informative magazine. It's very educational. Of course, I'm one of the brain trust on it, like a lot of other wonderful people. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Nerida. What's best recommended time for massaging in cleanser during AM and PM? I always tell people, count to 30 seconds. You're massaging in your cleanser, do those circular motions, get under any fine facial hair. You got to get under that fine facial hair. 30 seconds, you know, and at nighttime you should be cleansing twice. So you've got to spend time cleansing, guys. A lot of people come into me and that's one of their biggest problems, is they are not cleansing properly, especially if you are an oily combination or oily skin. You've got to clean your skin. If you have facial hair, you got to really work that cleanser in down onto the neck. You got to cleanse good. It's really, really important. I have a client with that issue. I got her on probiotics and skin elixir. I mean, probiotics are great for some people. Absolutely. Fantastic. What is your opinion about vitamins? Skin vitamin suggestion, please. Okay, I do not take vitamins. I sometimes take vitamin D if I'm a little low. I try to eat to my constitution, which is really important for me to stay healthy. And being that I'm, you know, almost 60, you know, hormonally, you guys, you go through so many changes you can't even imagine. I used to not believe it until I started going through things myself, as to what happens with the body, because it's really interesting. That's all I could tell you. So, you know, I think there's one product out there that's called Seed. And the reason I'm talking about this particular one, it is a form of a probiotic, is that the person that is behind it, I have known her for a really long time. I know the work that went into this particular product. I think that if you know your product is good, your vitamins are good, but most of the vitamins out there, honestly, you just pee it out and they don't stick inside the system. So getting a good quality vitamin that feeds and supports your system is really important. So like a skincare product, it all depends on your formula. And that's what I will say about vitamins. What about the texture of your forehead? I usually have dry skin, but now my forehead is always shiny, not oily. Any products for that? So it's not oily, but shiny. I would say it sounds like you're over processing it. You're using too much of something, because when you over process the skin, our skin is acidic, you know, always a little bit acidic. So if you are over processing it, meaning you're using, you know, AHAs, retinols, you maybe using it in your cleanser, you're scrubbing your skin. If you're doing a lot of over processing of actives, you know, and niacinamides fall into that as well, then you strip the barrier and the skin becomes shiny and almost slippery. And so you've got to get back to basics. So I would say that if your skin is shiny but dry, then I would say you've stripped your skin back too much, and you need to use something like you know, your glycerins, your shea butter, your allantoin. You need to use your shark oils, you know, that your squalene. You need to use things that are going to, you've got to leave a bit of a stick on your face, because you need that protection, and stop stripping back your skin. Maybe your toner, you know, something you're using, you're doing too much. That's what or even exfoliation, too much. So that's what I would say. I've had those shots and definitely did that. Okay, good. Yes, Yvonne, okay. Can't wait to see your new line. Yes, you wait. It's small, but it's powerful. Yes, can't wait. Yes, next year, guys. One item this year. That's all I'm going to tell you. The rest you're going to have to wait for. Okay, online I'll buy for sure. Okay, thank you. Yes, well, we're getting there. Can't wait to try. I have a lot of congestion. Do you have to include almonds and chia seeds as well? What? If you have a lot of congestion, do you have to exclude? No, you do not. Neither one of those. Macadamia nuts are oily, and peanuts for sure. I mean, peanuts is so terrible for if you have acne skin. I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are, get rid of that. That's why they don't use peanut oil in skincare products. It does not work well in skincare either. It's a whole different constitution, that one. Chia seeds has nothing to do with that either, unless you're allergic to them, but it doesn't affect it as far as I know. Make sure, oh yeah, you ship internationally. Got it. We're working on that too. Create a powder mineral sunscreen, please. Okay, I don't know about that, sunscreen. But you know what? La Belladonna are a great sunscreens. Color Science are a great sunscreen. You know, I know La Belladonna's powders only have 4 ingredients, and they're really great. They're really healing. They, you know, they're minerals, so they hold moisture in. They're really great. It's La Belladonna. Will you range be okay in professional UK? We'll have it in the UK. Already got someone over there too. So, okay, super. Thank you. Which lip balm is your favorite? Oh my gosh, my lip balms. I love the Laneige. Actually, I don't have that one on today. But the lip, it's their lip masks. I love the Laneige lip masks. I have the, I've got the pear. I've got this new one which is called like candy something. I don't have them here in front of me. I've got like berry. I've got the a grapefruit, and I've got the vanilla, and I love them. They are honestly my favorite because they're so nourishing on the lips, and they don't seem to clog. You know how some lip balms you get these like little blackheads around the lips, or I really love the Laneige lip balms, and they're very reasonably priced too. They're really great. How do you treat clients with PCOS? You know, okay, so usually if a client comes in with PCOS, they are going to have oil activity, right? A little facial hair. So I'm treating it as an acnetic client. But the only thing is, usually, very often there's a little bit more facial hair. And so it's just all of that, getting everything, circular motions, but it's usually, you know, it's an acnetic skin, so that I'm dealing with. So I'm going to treat them like an acnetic skin with a little bit more facial hair often. That's the case. What would you recommend for African American people with hyperpigmentation? Retinol, your retinoids. I love vitamin A for African American skin. I love it. It's just fantastic. I love it more than I do your alpha hydroxy acids. Azelaic acid is also another, you know, a good one depending. But, you know, I'm a huge, I love retinols. I just love retinols. I love the retinoids when there's a multiple array of your molecules in one product. I really, really like that because it works on different levels. But I am just a huge fan for especially with African American skin. And you know, I'm going to give the flavonoids are going to be important. Licorice extract, kojic, all of those things are really great. But the thing that's going to really help tremendously is your vitamin A, and that's your retinoid family for sure. What advice do you have for new esties? Oh, for new esties? Oh my goodness. Okay, what advice? I think I talked about this one last time. As a new esty, it is great if you can work somewhere, maybe for a year when you first come out of beauty school, because you want to learn other techniques and and then you decide what you like and what works for you. I think you need to have courage. I think that you need to, you know, if your strong asset is in doing a great facial massage, you know, do that, but also don't forget about the most important thing, which is skin analysis, being able to analyze somebody's skin. Train yourself well to not be lazy. Have that written, that chart beside you that talks about different skin types, that forces your eyes to look for things, because when you first come out of school, you don't know what you're looking at. You're looking at a face, but you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And you're so worried about everything, and your client being comfortable and not knowing that you're maybe nervous. It's important that you have that sheet to force your eye to say, okay, does she have open pores? Let me look. And, oh, does she have surface dryness? Let me look. You know, these are the types of things. Don't be lazy, and keep professional. Keep your hair back. Keep your nails nice. Wear a clean uniform, be on the ball, be professional, prescribe, learn to understand key ingredients, how they benefit your skin. prescribe to your clients, or recommend to your clients. I don't think I'm supposed to say that prescribe word, but recommend to your clients, because it's really important. If you want results and you want to build a good following, you need to recommend products for your clients. Otherwise they're going to go somewhere else. You have to keep control of what's going on. You need to be able to just be on the ball. Just do everything you can to help them help them with their skin. Educate yourself, do trainings, and that's it. Nerida, I wanted to tell you, I took your advice about consuming red meat less, and it affected my eye area. What is the difference? I also simplified my foods I eat at one sitting. Thank you so much. Okay, so what? And it's affecting less under your eyes. Well, that's great, because your under eye area is your stomach. And so when you start simplifying foods and you cut back on certain foods, it puts less stress on your stomach. So I am glad to hear that you are doing better. Yay, that's wonderful news. I love to hear that. Yay, I made it live. Hello from Texas. Hello, Micah. Hello, thank you from Texas. You guys down there, I love Dallas. It's such a great city. And I don't know where you're from, but I love Dallas. What are your thoughts on the Naturium line? Okay. Well, you know what? I can't comment on it, number one, because I've never tried it. Number two, one of my dear friends, Susan Yara, was involved in the workings of it. And I've never used it. I'm not someone who can tell you about other brands. I wish I could, but I'm so busy with my life and my clients and getting people better and using the products that I know and I'm very confident in, that I really can't comment. But I would say that because she is someone that I've known a really long time and she knows skincare well, I would say that it would have to be a good line for her to be behind it and involved in it. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. I watch you all the time on YouTube. Yay! Thank you, Lavish Skin Body Studio. Thank you. Yes, I did a lot of years of work with my videos. Very poor, was just a very small crew, but I started my YouTube channel, guys, because I was upset with the way people, especially in the medical industry, were treating acne and then not getting results. So thank you for the support and following and doing all the things that you do, subscribing to my stuff. I really appreciate it, because I love what I do, and I put a lot of time into educating people. And as a lot of you know that are part of my 5-star method, a lot of you have my cell number to call and contact me when you have issues with your clients, and that is just growing with the things we're doing with the 5-star method. So thank you. I appreciate that. So unfortunately, I have a bad habit I do when I sleep. I prop my head up with my palm of my hand and rub on my forehead almost raw. Well, ooh, ow. How can I heal that area? Why don't you try getting, if the skin is broken, why don't you try getting a little bit of that A&D ointment? You can buy it from the pharmacy. It's in the baby department for diaper rash. And I use it on people that get, cracked heels, for people that have got really irritated with their masks, having to wear them. A lot of the nurses and things, but it's you've got to get the ointment. It's A&D ointment, and it's really good for cracked heels and lips and areas that are just sensitive, because it stays on the skin. It doesn't disappear. It's an ointment. Doesn't smell nice, doesn't look so nice, but it works. Break that habit. Yes, good one. Yes, this is so true. How do I get to talk to you if I'm part of the 5-star community? Oh, then I believe you have been contacted. Is it on the? You've been contacted. If not, because we just started that last week on a regular basis with the 5-star. So please, Dominique, will you? I'm sure Jane would have contacted, or hopefully. She said there was some people she did not hear back from, but our 5-star community, I need to talk to you. If you could reach out to hello@Educate Your Skin, let them know your number so I can call you, or they'll give you mine, which they always say, don't do that, but I want to speak to you guys and I want to help you. So Dominic, I'm going to hopefully, I'm going to remember, Dahlia, okay, I'm going to remember, we're going to get a hold of you for sure, because we just started that. Last week I started speaking to everybody. Okay, here we go. I will look forward to it. Okay, I'm currently breastfeeding. What is a great vitamin C serum and moisturizer? Currently have hormonal acne and oily skin. I would say, don't worry about your vitamin C for now. I would use something different as a serum, because vitamin C is risky sometimes, and it's risky because often with oily acneic skins, I take people off citrus. So I'm going to say don't worry about a vitamin C serum, but maybe you need a hyaluronic acid serum, or maybe you need an AHA serum, something different. A moisturizer, you just need something that's light, non-comedogenic. If you're using an AHA serum, don't get an active moisturizer. If you're just getting a hyaluronic acid serum, maybe get an active that's got either a little bit of retinol or a little bit of your retinoids, in there, or a little bit of your alpha hydroxyacids, which will be your glycolic, lactic, and then of course, all of these, anything for oily skin usually has salicylic in it too, and that is one of your BHA, or really your only BHA. I think there is one other that is considered BHA too. But I will tell you, tartaric is one of your molecules of your alpha hydroxy acid. It is your glycolic, lactic, malic, tartaric, your fourth smallest. That one is very acidic, so don't maybe use that one, okay? Stay away from the tartaric acid. What's your thought on plant stem cells? I think, stem cells are interesting, but I'm thinking that it depends on formulas. If you're talking about in a skincare product, it doesn't mean anything to me unless it depends on the formula. You can have great ingredients, but if those ingredients, you can't get them to where they need to go, it doesn't mean anything. So I'm, whatever, it depends on the formula. Sorry. Are you going to say this live? Yes, I am. IGTV, I hope, and it better work, because one time it didn't and I was like, oh no. That's why, okay. Would you use the Rejuve AHA serum before or after the Q Flavonoid? I would use it before, because the AHA serum is going to open up a pathway for my Q Flavonoid. It's not necessarily wrong to do it the other way around, but you're really going to be buffering your AHA serum back so much that it would be better to do AHA serum first, then your Q Flavonoid for sure. Are you located in Beverly Hills? I am in the Brentwood area, West Los Angeles, Brentwood area. I used to be in Beverly Hills, and can I tell you how glad I am to be out of Beverly Hills? I lived in Beverly Hills for a really long time, and I was so relieved to get out of Beverly Hills, because it's not this cute little place it used to be anymore. It's just not what it used to be. I don't know what to say. I'm like, bummer, so upset about that. How is your location accommodating for COVID-19? In PA, we're still required to wear face masks. Unfortunately, yes, I'm not able to work right now. And I know, I was shut down again last week. But yes, we have to wear all of that too. Face masks, shield, in gloves. I mean, I have everything. I've got things coming that are wands that are going to be disinfecting, that disinfects within seconds. I'll show you when it arrives. I've got spritzers. I've got, when people walk in the door, I've got little things, antiseptic things that they can wipe with their hands, and sprays and gloves, and I've got everything everywhere. But I am not working at the moment because they shut us down again. Not fun. Okay, one more question. I do not want to lose this, and last time I left it too late. What's the best Rejuve package for dry combo skin? A package for dry combo? There is depending on your age, but usually Lila's kit. It has, you know, the AHA in it, or mica is for dry combo, Lila or mica. But I think the kits are easier to figure out right now if you go on the site, Educate Your Skin. I don't think it's actually by my models that you've maybe seen in the past. I think it's done a little bit differently now. And I only am saying think because we are in the process of changing a lot of things around to make it easier and more easier for you guys all to understand. I love you, amazing hands, and so I love you too, Caroline. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on that clock. How can you be thorough with extractions when skin, even with prep, doesn't extract easy? Do you, okay, you know how I do that? Let me tell you, because this happens a lot, right, Natalie? Is that you get somebody that comes in, they lie down your table, they've stripped their skin, they've been drying it out they're trying to dry up the oil, and I massage the skin a lot. I'm going to work in a lot. I'm going to use my Q, my retinol. I'm just going to massage the skin a lot. Maybe use steam if they don't have a lot of heat. I'm going to work that skin a lot, and usually then, because I've softened the skin a lot, I can then extract. That's what I do. Sometimes will only get out what I can get out, but I'm telling you, if you massage the skin a lot first, you use healing gel. I use the Q Flavonoid. I'm going to use a little bit of my retinol formula, maybe a little bit of my hydrating mask. I'm going to work it all in as my massage cream. And I just massage the skin a lot, take it all off with warm towels, and then I've got a different skin to work with. But I know in America, the way you're taught when you go to beauty school, they have you do your extractions first very often, and then you massage all this goop into these open pores, which doesn't make sense to me. Things have to make sense to you guys. If something doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. You have to do things that make sense to you. Doing extractions before massage makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm going to massage, work that skin. Then by the time I go to do my extractions, the skin is worked, it's clean. And after I do extractions, I am not putting a mixture of stuff on the skin. I'm going to treat it to shrink the pores and calm and heal the skin. Use my cryo sticks, mask. That's how you do it. Okay, I'm on the countdown. I'm not going to lose this, so I don't want to go over. You guys, thank you so much. I'm going to be doing a couple of more lives this week, Q&A, so get your questions ready. Thank you for following, supporting everything that you do. I am so grateful to you all for the love. Thank you, and I'll be back to see you again really soon. Bye.